Okay, you ask, I listen. You asked for a Southern collard greens recipe that was slowed down step by step so a novice could make a masterpiece of a recipe. So I'm going to show you in just a few easy steps how you can create the most amazing stock, homemade from scratch, so that you're left with like this incredible potlikker. If you don't know what potlikker is, it's the stuff that's left behind after you've eaten the greens that you're gonna wanna sop up or use in other ways. It's that liquid that you leave behind. We're gonna show you how to cut, clean, and cook. Those are like the three essentials. Cut, clean, cook. Stick with me. I think you're gonna enjoy it. And when you're finished, you'll be Master Cook certified. All right, let's get down to important business. I'd estimate that the stock that you cook your greens in represents about 75% of the flavor, right? And so given that, you want to spend the bulk of your time making sure you have a really good stock. I take an approach where I cook my stock, particularly for the holidays, over multiple days because I have the time, and it's the Super Bowl for collard greens, right? And so what I do in terms of technique is I reduce my stock, so meaning I cook the stock down, let the flavors concentrate, then I replenish with fresh ingredients and more water and do the same process, repeating it 2, 3, 4 days, depending on how much time I got. And that allows you to concentrate flavors on top of flavors. And so you have this layered flavor effect, as well as just having a more complex and intensely flavored stock. And so my collard greens get cooked on Thursday of Thanksgiving, but the stock is made over multiple days, typically starting like that Saturday or Sunday. And you get this incredible collard greens recipe that you can brag about, and people will talk about and give you comments and give you love on. So take the time to do it if you have it, but if not, just do it in a day, same process, reducing, concentrate, reduce, concentrate, reduce, concentrate, but do it within an hour or 2 hours, following that approach. All right, so let's just break down the ingredients. I got like some of your base ingredients. You know, you got your traditional carrots, celery, salt and pepper, garlic, bay leaves, onion. I don't bother taking the skin off or peeling them. I just I throw all the ingredients in as they are. I'm using smoked turkey. We call it a chicken stock, but it's really like a turkey stock. Same thing, but I'm using smoked turkey legs or turkey wings to flavor the broth. Probably a non-traditional ingredient is the corn on the cob. There's a lot of umami-rich flavor in here that'll add a lot to the stock. And then, you know, I'm a big fan of leeks. Leeks are kind of in that onion category or the family, but just a slightly different flavor profile. I do have an onion, but I'm gonna freak this onion out. I'm not gonna just put the onion in. I'm actually going to char it. And that char flavor is gonna add some smokiness, a different kind of smokiness from the smoked turkey. And just that char flavor will add some character to the broth. And yeah, that's it. Everything else is just gonna be time. Like I said before, reduce, 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 add, reduce, reduce, boom. So let's just get to it. I actually like to use a pasta insert to make my stock. That way I put all my stock ingredients into the insert, and when I'm done, I can just lift it out. That makes for easier cleanup. So I'm just gonna start loading my ingredients. Some celery in there, some of those leeks, carrots, my corn. Really season your liquid well with some salt and pepper. Don't underestimate this. And my bay leaves. I'm gonna smash my I just went ahead and smashed my garlic up and my wings. I'm gonna save one of the wings to add after I reduce. So this is pretty much it. The onion I will add later after I've treated it up. So you can tell the stock is reduced quite a bit from where it was yesterday. I'm going to take out some of the used ingredients and add fresher ingredients. Again, we want to continue to reduce, continue to add fresh ingredients to just continue to optimize the stock. So that's about a day's worth of simmering. I'm now going to start adding some of the fresher ingredients. Now I'm pretty much using the same ingredients, not the same, but the types of ingredients. I didn't change up the recipe, but you can add additional ingredients that you didn't use the first go around as well. But I kept it simple, just a refresh of what I used before. And I'm gonna let that cook for maybe another day. Who knows, depending on how much time I got. I do like to keep those bones in there, so I reuse those bones. There's something about those smoky old bones that just add so much flavor to a stock, and so I let that roll. Don't change that up at all. It just keeps getting better and better and better. So now I got my base stock, and I'm going to use that for my collard greens. And I think it's going to add a whole lot of flavor to the greens. There are other ingredients to add later when I do the actual collard green recipe, but this is the core stock. Cutting greens seems like a basic idea, but there's actually, if you care, some strategy that you can impart in your recipe. For me, I'm concerned about two things. One, how the greens feel when I chew them. Two, how they cook. If you cut them in uniform, smaller shapes, they cook faster, so they don't need as long of a long stewing. And then from an eating standpoint, it's just a lot easier to chew if they're in bite size or manageable sizes. And so the more uniform, the better. I'm not saying you have to spend all of your time really trying to get them exact, but roughly in the same ballpark, you should be great. There's actually an art to how you slice your collard greens. It depends on how you want to eat them. A lot of people will just kind of cut them roughly, rip them up. Other people will cut them into really thin strips. The thing about cutting in really thin strips is that allows the greens to cook faster. I like mine. I think about how I want my greens to feel when I chew them, when I eat them, right when the greens are actually in my mouth. So I like to make these what I call squares. And basically I just lay my collard greens out flat, right? And then cut them, at a perpendicular angle, straight, and then go across. Okay? And I get these little kind of square, rectangular, but basically kind of a block look. They don't have to be perfect, but there's some type of uniformity that I can come close to achieving. And that's it. Again, you just, and I did pick my big thing is to pull the veins out. I know a lot of people will cook with the stems. Me personally, I don't cook with them, but I do save them later to pickle them. They taste great pickle. Believe me on that. That's just a pro tip. And we could talk about how to pickle green stems at a later time, but just know that's an option. Okay, so again, go across, and you can cut these as thick as you want. Again, just think about how you want them to look and feel, you know, when you put them in your mouth. Okay, so I'll turn those, and I got my squares. That's all there is to it, not hard. Cleaning collard greens is probably the hardest part of the recipe. It's not hard, but it's the most labor intensive of anything you gotta do as far as making the greens. But it's essential.
So washing greens, the trick is to be thorough. I know a lot of people talk about all of these different stories on social media, going to different extremes, using bleach, dishwashing liquid, soap, etc. You know, we're washing greens, things that we're gonna eat, not clothes that we're gonna wear. The key is to really work to loosen up the dirty, grimy stuff that could be on the leaves, because they actually, you know, they grow in the garden, so we expect them to be dirty. You can be selective about where you source your greens from, but just take precaution. Don't assume that because you buy them pre-washed or pre-bagged, or buy them from a grocery store, that somebody's actually taking the time to really wash them well. For me, I like to wash in a sink with water, drain, repeat, and I tend to repeat about 3 or 4 times at least. You know, you can base it on the eye test when you start. You can take a look and inspect the greens to see if they're already, you know, if you see a lot of dirt on them, you know you're probably gonna rinse and repeat multiple times. So you can gauge it based on that. And then you're also looking in the bottom of your sink. You know, if you see, you know, a bunch of sand and silt in the bottom of the sink as you wash, then you want to keep rinsing until that water begins to run clean. If it's running clean, you have a pretty good sense of, you know, the cleanliness of your greens, and you can be okay about that. You know, but just take a look, inspect. I mean, you know, so it's common sense. Just don't overthink it. Be thorough, rinse, wash, repeat until the water runs clear of any sand or any dirt or any griminess, and then you're good to go. All right, so the stock is done, set, we're ready to go. Now let's start the cooking. I like to start seasoning as I go, so I'm gonna add a little bit of paprika, salt, and pepper. Those are the 3 spices that I'm gonna use primarily for my greens today. The heat actually helps bring out some of the flavor in the spices. That's why I do it. You're kind of building a base of flavor by sauteing the onions with the spices. I saute till these are tender. Give it, you know, maybe 3 or 4 minutes. These are soft enough. I'm gonna start laying in some of the other ingredients. Now some red pepper flakes, give it a little heat. Cider vinegar. Got some molasses. Baileys. Got my chicken stock. That's the homemade stuff. Got about 4 cups. Spices. Mix it all up pretty good. You can deglaze the pan, the pot at the bottom, scrape it up anything from the onions that we sauteed. Once I have that mixed in pretty good, I'm gonna start adding in the greens. Start adding in the greens. And don't worry if it looks like there's not enough water. The greens are gonna cook down and you'll be just fine. So I'm gonna stuff them in there pretty good. Now, even though my stock is made with turkey wings, I still want to cook my greens with smoked turkey. This is going to be it's going to add some additional flavor, but also I want some meat in my greens, and so it's going to get so tender and melt in the greens that it'll break down, and you have pieces of smoked turkey meat throughout your greens, adding to the experience and the taste. I'm using smoked turkey tails. They have a lot of meat in them, a lot of flavor, so a good mix with the greens. That's it. I'm going to put the lid on it and let this cook down for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then once it cooks down, I may add some more greens depending on how I feel. Definitely some more seasonings, and then really just let time do its job. Let it simmer for about an hour, hour and a half to 2 hours, and we're good to go. It's cooked down, so I'm going to actually add some more greens. And I think that's going to be all she wrote. We'll let that cook down. The greens ought to be cooked down now. You should see the liquid to give you an idea of the depth. That's pretty tender. That's how tender that is.
Enjoy these collard greens with some hot water cornbread or any type of cornbread. You'll want some bread on hand so you can sop up all of that good pot liquor that's left behind. If you found this video to be helpful, please give it a like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, definitely share with your friends and family members, anybody you think will be interested in learning more about Southern collard greens or just how to cook in general. Thank you.